Welcome to another story made by Oracle 1. Rainfall and Rewinds. On an unusually gray Saturday morning, Claire wandered through the labyrinth of aisles at the neighborhood thrift store, the air thick with dust and memories. The scent of aged paper and worn fabric wrapped around her like a comforting blanket. It was her favorite place to escape the relentless buzz of city life and the tedium of her daily routine. Today, something caught her eye at the edge of a cluttered shelf, a dusty, vintage camcorder resting awkwardly beside a pile of forgotten photo albums. It looked like a relic from the 1980s, its bulky body scarred with time, yet somehow still enticing. Drawn by a sudden impulse, Claire picked up the camcorder and inspected it. The glass lens was foggy but intact, and the leather strap was frayed but firm. She wondered who might have owned it, what stories it had witnessed, and how many memories it had recorded. Without much hesitation, she headed to the counter, the camcorder clutched tightly under her arm, and paid the meager price asked by the shopkeeper. Back in her cramped apartment, Claire powered on the camcorder with a spark of excitement, discovering it still worked. She found an old tape inside, its label faded beyond recognition. Her fingers trembled slightly as she inserted it, anticipation flooding her chest. The screen flickered to life, revealing a grainy home movie. The footage opened on a bustling city square drenched in late afternoon sunlight, rain beginning softly to fall. A young man with a mop of curly brown hair and a woman with fiery red curls stood drenched yet laughing beneath a makeshift canopy. Their chemistry was palpable, electric even through the poor quality image. Claire pressed play again after the first run, wanting to capture every detail. The stolen glances, the shy smiles, the way the man's hand brushed the woman's cheek as rain slipped over them. They were strangers to her, yet their love blossomed onscreen like a delicate flower unfolding petal by petal. Obsessed, Claire spent the entire weekend watching the tape over and over, captivated by the unfolding romance between the golden-haired woman named Lily and a man who introduced himself as Ethan via the flimsy homemade title cards inserted between scenes. He was dressed in a crumpled shirt and she wore a vintage floral dress, their eyes gleaming with youthful hope. Between the scenes of their laughter and whispered confessions in parks under willow trees, there was an unmistakable feeling of something precious and rare growing into something profound. They danced slowly in a dim cafe while a soft jazz band played in the background, their bodies moving in perfect sync. They shared stories, secrets, and sometimes just silence, wrapped in warm embraces as the rain lashed outside the window. The video concluded with Lily and Ethan sitting atop an old stone bridge as the rain poured around them, the world reflected in the glistening wet stones. Ethan looked nervously at Lily and said, "I don't want this to end." Lily smiled, brushing a wet curl from her face, replying, "It won't." As the screen faded to black, Claire felt her heart ache with a strange mixture of joy and longing. Who were these two people? What happened to them? Were they still together? Did they even know this recording existed? Claire's life suddenly revolved around trying to track them down. She scoured the city's archives for clues, devoured old newspapers, and even reached out to local history groups. The video was likely from the 1980s, based on the clothing and grainy film quality, but there were no obvious landmarks she could use to pinpoint their location. She started with the music. That jazz tune playing softly in the cafe sounded familiar, something she had heard in an old local band's repertoire. After days of searching, she discovered it was called Midnight Rainfall by a now-defunct jazz group that played regularly at the Blue Note Cafe, a legendary spot in the city that closed in 1987. Excited, Claire visited the building where the Blue Note once stood, now a sleek coffeehouse. She chatted with the barista, an older man who seemed surprised and pleased to share memories. "Yeah, my uncle used to play there," he said. The place was romantic. Lots of young couples would come and disappear into the night. The barista leaned in confidentially. There was a redhead who used to come in on Tuesdays and an artist named Ethan who sketched by the window. They were kind of famous around there. Hope surged through Claire's veins. She felt a sudden confidence that she was closer to finding Lily and Ethan. She posted online message boards, reached out to local alumni groups, and shared stills from the video. Nothing concrete came back at first, just vague memories from anonymous people who thought they might have known them. Then after a week, an unexpected message arrived. A woman named Barbara claimed she was Lily's sister and had seen the video. Hoping for answers, Claire arranged a meeting. At a small cafe bathed in golden light, Barbara met Claire with a mixture of caution and curiosity. She was an elegant woman in her 50s with lively eyes that held both warmth and sadness. "I don't know how you found that tape," Barbara began, "but yes, that's my sister and Ethan. They were very much in love." Barbara took a deep breath. Lily and Ethan met in 1985. It was a whirlwind romance. But they both came from different worlds, and the pressures of life pulled them apart. Ethan left for New York for his photography career, and Lily stayed behind to care for our ill mother. Claire listened as Barbara's voice softened. "They lost contact, unfortunately. I haven't seen Lily in years." She paused. "The last I heard, Lily moved to a coastal town upstate. But where exactly, I don't know." Determined, Claire couldn't let the story end there. She continued her search for Lily, piecing together fragments of her life from faded newspaper clippings, city records, and online directories. She learned Lily had remarried, had a child, and though the fire of her youth had dimmed, the memories of Ethan never truly faded. One rainy evening, after a particularly frustrating week, Claire found herself walking aimlessly through the city park, the echoes of the tape buzzing inside her head. She pulled her coat tighter as the rain began again, cold drops soaking through her umbrella. Everything about that day on the tape, the laughter, the stolen moments, felt hauntingly alive around her now. Suddenly, her phone buzzed with a new notification. Barbara had sent a message with an address, Lily's place upstate. "Don't hurt her with this, please." With renewed purpose, Claire rented a car the next morning and drove through winding country roads blanketed by the soft mist of early spring. The cityscape melted into forests and rolling hills, the fresh scent of earth and rain filling the air like a promise. Arriving at a rustic cottage perched on a cliff overlooking a vast lake, Claire saw Lily standing on the porch, gazing at the horizon. Her hair was still a wild cascade of red curls, though touched with silver now. Something about her presence stirred a deep familiarity and sorrow within Claire. Gathering courage, Claire knocked gently on the door. Lily turned, her serene face lighting up with surprise and curiosity as Claire introduced herself and explained the discovery of the camcorder and the tape. Lily's hands trembled as she took the device, eyeing the worn leather strap as if weighing the years it represented. This brings back everything," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. They sat inside, rain tapping a soft rhythm on the windows as Lily recounted her story. How that summer with Ethan was the brightest chapter of her life. How their love was thrilling but fragile, how life's ambitions and responsibilities pulled them apart, but how she never forgot the way he looked at her beneath the rain. As the hours passed, Claire found herself drawn into the warmth of Lily's tales, understanding the weight of lost love and the beauty of memories preserved in time. "I always wondered if Ethan still thought of me," Lily confessed, eyes glistening. Moved by Lily's vulnerability, Claire promised to help find Ethan. Using her research skills, Claire tracked down an Ethan who had become a celebrated photographer living quietly in a coastal town not far from Lily's. Arranging a meeting under the guise of an art project, Claire invited Ethan to her apartment where she showed him the tape for the first time in decades. The cracks in his smile appeared as the memories flooded back. They arranged to meet with Lily, and when Ethan finally stepped into the cottage's warm light, Lily's eyes welled with tears she had held back for years. Ethan reached out tentatively, their hands trembling as they touched, reconnecting the threads that time had stretched, but never broken. In that small cottage, beneath endless rainfall and golden sunsets, two souls found their pasts intertwined again, a love rewound but never erased. Claire watched from a distance, her heart full knowing she had helped rewrite a story of love that time tried to silence. And as rain fell softly outside, washing away years of silence, the tape had done more than preserve memories, it had sparked a new beginning. For more stories, like and subscribe.